Good evening, America. This is your silver son speaking, Jonathon, on the 3rd of April, 2021. The origins of my name are Hebrew. Jonathon was a prince in the Bible, a prince that came after Solomon. And in the 1st century, Jonathon was also part of Jesus' clan. Tribe. Having a real connection to the Christ. Close to the source. The word Jonathon, the name Jonathon, means God's gift. And if you take that into the present moment, I have been living in the present. I have tried to make a new start every day, making it feel brand new. A new dawn comes with this gift of mine. A new dawn that pushes time forward and vertically. So, God's gift is a present. It's a present for staying in the moment. Today. Here. Now. So it's a double entendre that gives a double meaning. I just want to share that with you. Today, I would like to go back to the year 2016, in which my father and I, or one of my father's surrogates, went on a hiking trip to the World Heritage Area, Hinchinbrook Island, in North Queensland. It was a trip that was it was a trip in which I was hunted, a trip in which that I was followed. And it's around the time when the police state were actively searching for me. And due to my mishaps and me falling short of acceptable behavior, I created a massive shitstorm with one phone call. So we were meant to spend Easter on Hinchinbrook Island in 2016, 5 years ago now. And we were planning to do the Hinchinbrook Trail. We arrived the week of the coming Easter, and we organized our accommodation, our our camping passes, and we caught a chartered boat out to the island and got dropped off on the northern part of the island, having to make our way south some 25 kilometers. Now, if you don't know Hinchinbrook, it's wild. It has rainforests, waterfalls, um, some hilly areas, there's some mountains. Yeah, so it's pristine frontier country. It's there's there's the box jellyfish, there's crocodiles, there's the sea cow. And the day we arrived, I realized that personally that my dad was not in a strong enough physicality to get the job done. He was walking extremely slowly, and we decided to break camp early, and that's when we ran into two other hikers who were coming in the opposite direction, heading north to get picked up the following day. Now, these hikers expressed to us their concerns for my father, that the hike is arduous. It's difficult, and there's a lot of scaling rocks and going over boulders and such things like that. I relented eventually after getting quite upset that we would not be going the full 25 kilometers. We would be staying there over Easter on the beachfront in a secluded area, which is part of a camp with toilets and a running creek. So we were content to stay on the beachfront for a few days. We had enough food for 3 or 4 days. We made burritos. We had tuna. And yeah, it was a bonding experience with my dad, with my surrogate of my dad. That was different because my dad, he's shown signs of being anti-Christian. He's shown signs of being psychologically abusive to me while I'm asleep, in a sleeping state, at night, asleep. Compared to my father as a child, it's like day and night. My father was a spiritual person. He's kind of like you. Well, he's a you, as my mother is too. And he was a spiritual person. He was someone who would go to church regularly. He would be someone that kept that had faith. He didn't believe in a spiritual. He didn't believe in a personal God, but he had faith and belief in my younger years. And later in my late 30s, early 40s, we really come to see the dark side of these surrogates. Abusive, and yeah, yeah. I have dreams that would go on periodically for months. Little slices of the night where I would be plugged into an astral body and have needles boring into my back. And this would little slices of night segments of my in the dark, complete darkness, and being abused by my father in torturous ways. These are my father's surrogates, and here on Hinchinbrook Island, we get to see what is the result of siding with the Catholic Church and siding with pedophiles. I get a first-hand look at my father as a convicted pedophile criminal. Camp, lunchtime, morning, I would be face to face, have eye contact with my father's junk. He'd be wearing some shorts or some togs. And his package would not have a shaft. There was no shaft to his penis. It was just, it like it had been surgically removed. And all it had was his balls. So, and this would go on every day. Every day he'd be sitting there talking something, and I'd be staring at his package going, what do I do, Jonathan? What am I going to do about this? Because if I bring it up face to face, there may be an attempt on my life. These people are dangerous. They are, if you're in America, they're outcasts. They live in 10 cities. But here in Australia, they are revered like clergy, like holy men. And yeah, we would go up to the river, also the creek that was flowing, and we would have we'd make a little wading pool by moving the rocks around and whatnot. And then my father decided to go skinny dipping, and his package suddenly had a shaft, like he was able to attach a shaft to his body. I find that profoundly peculiar, since the majority of the time I was there for the 3 or 4 days, he did not have a shaft. But this is obviously some kind of attachable penis, as in the song, Detachable Penis. That's a song, Detachable Penis, look it up. So if there's a song about it, then they're from the gay community, then maybe there is some truth to having a detachable penis. Um, it was during Easter. It was we had the full moon. Um, and it was a really beautiful place. It was just to hang out. It's so remote, so remote. You like at least like we you're about 10 kilometers offshore of between Cairns and Townsville. So it was coming to that time that we go back to civilization. Um, and yeah, we decided to break camp on top of a ridge line. So early in the morning we can make our way to the pickup point where we get picked up and brought back to town. And I made uh, a reprehensible mistake by calling my mother, who has been working against me habitually, and trying to do her utmost to bring out the worst in me, negative feelings, hatred, uh, anger. Um, my history with my mother goes back several years, but everything I say in that moment of anger and vitriol is valid. It's valid because I'm an original Schmidt's family member, and she is a surrogate, a copy of a family member that is not going to show up out here like my father. Um, so she's doing this to someone who actually has the family name under his belt, actually has the genome in his blood, actually talks with authority and power about how justice should be served um, when it comes to judging certain communities or people at large, people, criminals, pedophiles, sex offenders, um, child abuse offenders. Um, I've done none of those things. I'm not in the closet. Um, but I vouch hardly on the side of righteousness in every single way. And that call I made to my mother, she hanged up and called me back, which was a mistake to answer, because I was now speaking to Copy Central HQ, and I was unleashing a tirade of anger towards my mother for the abuse I had experienced in her house, sometimes by her personally. And I was yelling out loud, and that was the phone call that when it was intercepted, when my mother called me back, it was intercepted, and it resulted in hundreds, if not thousands, of copies being created in an effort to subdue me. So this is probably Easter Sunday or probably Easter Monday, I think. Easter Monday, and I'm calling Sydney back in 2016. Hello. Alright. And I called my mother. She says, well, I'll call you back. And then it was Copy Central. So, yeah, like, it was dangerous, being on that island, with a pedophile. If I was to bring up that issue of him having no shaft, who knows what he would have done. My father. Sorry. And after I made that call, my life just spiraled because it was police state to the max. So I was yelling on this mountain, just in coverage, to get a signal, and that one phone call pretty much resulted in a major effort by copies everywhere to it's just unbelievable the opposition that I created after that moment in time. So the following day, Easter Monday, or was it Tuesday? Sometime during Easter. Look at my phone records, delete the record, delete the phone call, go back in time into it, pulse, get it done. Like, seriously, like, I would be so rest assured, safe about my own future if we could erase that one phone call. So, yeah, the following day we got up early. I sent my dad forward to get on the pontoon to get retrieved and head back to the coast. And, yeah, just, we got back to town on the coast, caught a bus to Townsville, stayed a place in a hotel, watched some Socceroos are playing some team. We watched that. I think they won, which is good. But then the following day after that, we're heading to the airport to get on a flight back to Sydney with one stop in Brisbane with Virgin Airlines. And this was just like, by that time I had been found. That conversation was overheard by certain people in space. They locked onto the call. They traced it, and yeah, like, the police were actively looking for me by that stage. So at Townsville Airport, before I got on, I was writing down names of movies I wanted to download that were spiritual. The Australian was good enough to do an article on religious movies, which about saints, and I was doing that. But on the gate to enter on the plane, probably like 5 or 10 minutes before we're planning to board, my dad asked me out loud in front of everyone what seat I'm sitting in. It's an aisle seat, and it's the back of the plane, and he goes, and then, so, like, basically everyone who heard that conversation, which was out loud, then knew where I was sitting. Coordinating attempts could then be pre-programmed for that seat to go to exacerbate the issue. We got on the plane. My dad was sitting like 2 or 3 seats forward, and I was sitting to an old timer who looked like he had made a Faustian agreement. He was switched on, the light was showing, and it was obvious he's made a Faustian agreement with the devil. I left that alone. I didn't say anything about that. But by the time we got into the air, 10 or 15 minutes over, they started serving drinks that you have to pay for. And then suddenly this attack came from, I don't know how to explain it or how to give a technical explanation on some type of assault that happens when people are herded like cattle into a plane. But I felt that my package, my manhood, was under threat. Something was assaulting my ball sack, and I was constantly shuffling and trying to reorganize my package to kind of protect it from this type of robotic assault, which was coming underneath through my chair. I said, okay, well, I have to get out of here. So I went to the bathroom and washed my balls because they felt like something had kind of clinged onto them or attached themselves to it. I went back in the chair. The assault kept continuing, and that's when I started to get upset, and I asked one of the stewards who was doesn't matter. A steward, and asked him, "Oh, can you please help me? I'm bothered." And he says, "What are you talking about?" And then I said, "I'm a human being. I expect better than this. Yada yada yada." And so I still know what you're talking about. And he goes, "Yeah." And he talked to my dad and said, "Well, he says on medication for anxiety, something." Yeah, and then by that stage, I pretty much knew that I'd made a scene on the airplane, and that someone on the airplane was screwing with the fabric of reality because on 2 separate occasions, like a digital kind of electric overlay would switch on and rise from the ground up, and create a reality of overselves that were on the plane and kind of talking, animated and laughing, discussing, and then they would switch it off, and it would we'd be back to ourselves talking, and then they switch it back on, and like all this animated discussion, laughter, all this. They did that a couple times, and I don't know what they're trying to prove with that, but it was really it was. I'm never gonna fly Virgin again. I'm probably never gonna fly again, full stop. But that behavior was kind of funny in hindsight. But I knew I had screwed up. I was swearing. I was talking out loud, and I was getting upset at the stewards. at the hostess, the air hostess, man. But yeah, so we got off the plane, and I was taken to one side when we reached the gate, and said, "Can you please come here?" I followed the air hostess, and she took me to the police. They questioned me. They asked me what medication I'm on, what am I diagnosed with, and they wanted to hospitalize me then. They did. Because they said, well, we can't let you get on the next flight. Your behavior was out of order, obscene, and because you're on medication for anxiety, you're not fit to travel. My dad said yada yada yada, more bullshit, more bullshit. We left the airport, got on a train to central Brisbane, stayed at a hotel. We were on the next train at 5:30 a.m., something like that, to Hornsby. Yeah, so it was. I was on their radar. They had been searching for me for a long time, and I was on their radar. They wrote